I have some correspondence regarding the condition of some of the parking lots at some of our voting precincts. We are working on that. I did see that someone signed up to speak about it tonight, which we'd like to hear your comments, but we are on top of that. We will be discussing that a little bit further at our April meeting. I've also received numerous, to say the least, correspondence regarding the trash on the sides of the roads in Macon County, and specifically on the Highlands Road between Highlands and Franklin and between Highlands and Dillard. We will probably be discussing that more than likely at our April meeting as well. That is not a topic that is really under our purview to maintain roads and keep up with those, but I'm going to see if we can help as a county try and find a solution to help clean our county up. So we'll be discussing that at our April meeting too. I just wanted to put that out there for some of you all that are here that might be interested in those two topics. We won't be discussing them tonight, but it will be coming up. With that being said, before we have a moment of silence, we lost a long time county employee since our last meeting here, which she was present as we discussed this at our February meeting. So I just had a few words I wanted to say. Then we'll rise, observe a moment of silence, and then I'm going to ask, a whole great strain here tonight, I'm going to ask Sheriff Holland to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. In Lynn Wright's 25 years working for Macon County, there are very few employees that she did not interact with, and in doing so, touch their lives in some type of positive way. She was always an advocate for Macon County employees, many times going above and beyond what was required of her as the Assistant Director of Information Technology to make sure that Macon County was the very best organization that it could be. Lynn was a fighter. She battled a dreaded disease that has claimed the lives of so many people, including some of those that she loved. But Lynn beat it. Lynn never forgot this battle, and as no one could, but instead of living in fear or letting it bring her down, Lynn used her experience of battling cancer to bring others up. Lynn became a strong advocate for those battling colon cancer, working with the FBLA to raise awareness and funding to fight this disease. Lynn Wright was selfless, kind, and she loved her family, friends, and co-workers with everything that she had. Myself, like so many others in this room, am thankful for the time that we got to spend with her, and I hope that we will all become a much better person because of it. So with that being said, let's all rise, observe a moment of silence, and share a moment of prayer.
Thank you for doing this, too. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
We're going to enter the public meeting tonight for full paving, which is in our constituent. A few reminders. One is, so what is simple? Your neighbors, our fellow, whether you agree with their opinion or not, what they're saying, and interrupt them, please, and let them speak their piece. We'll give 3 minutes time for each person in here to speak, and do our best to listen and understand what you have to say, so that we can make the best decisions that we can and help lead this county the best that we can. Normally, as some of y'all that have been to several of our meetings know, I generally, as chairman, am very lenient with our 3-minute protocol. I'll let you go 5, sometimes 10, sometimes a little bit longer if you're making a good, strong point. Because of the quantity of speakers tonight, I'm going to ask our county manager to hold our timer tonight, and we're going to keep it to 3 minutes. If you go over, I'm not going to be mean or anything. I'll just put my hand up. I might slightly interrupt you to get your point across so that we can move on, so that everybody in here can have time, so we can get out of here before midnight. With that being said, one other reminder, bathrooms are outside, the courtroom's here. If you need to go, please just quietly slip out and please silence your cell phones. Also, when you're at the podium, if you'll please address the commissioners this direction. That's for numerous reasons versus turning around and addressing the crowd. So that being said, first up at public comment tonight, we have Mr. Donnie Holden regarding the Second Amendment resolution.
First of all, I'd like to say we have gained 573 new names on a petition. I'll turn that into the board. That should equal a total of 1,957. And I apologize for not having better numbers on these. These should have been, let me just double check, Sheriff. These should have been turned in. Should be good. I just got them tonight, and we had to kind of put it together at the last thing here in front of everybody. Mr. Dave Hurd, Dave, thank you very much for the petition. It's a lot of work. All right. Thanks for the board. We appreciate being here and able to speak. County Manager, Chester, Sheriff, thank everybody. Thanks to the people. We appreciate everybody being here. This is a major deal. All right. Hello, my name's Donnie Holden. During the January 14, 2020 board meeting, I asked to speak in front of the board. During this time, I was asked to provide a resolution that would make Macon County a Second Amendment sanctuary county. To receive a vote during the February board meeting, obviously the following month. Since that night, I have received overwhelming support from the community. I want to take a second to thank my wife Amanda, Mr. Tony Hawkins, and Mr. Dave Hurd. This took a massive amount of time from everybody. It's been hard on everybody. I want everybody to understand that. All right, let me go back. I had this was typed up and done, and this has been an ongoing thing. This was the one that was typed up from Sunday. This is what I've done this evening. This has been a changing thing, so I've had to adjust. This is the third speech I wrote since Sunday with the help of my wife. So just gotta bear with me. All right. Through that time, we were able to, during that time frame, we were able to come up with a resolution to adopt Macon County and be a Second Amendment sanctuary county. The resolution was presented to the commissioners on January 28th. Through some confusion on both sides, that did not happen during the February meeting. We wasn't able to get our resolution, I don't want to say completed, but together at that point where everybody could understand exactly what it was. With Friday, with commission here at the courthouse. Both commissioners started quick this evening. At the start of let's call this resolution what you would expect from a lawyer. The resolution was 6 pages of words that it would take to apply this. We all laid that aside. The building of the final documents were taken from the attorney and Higgins stated during this is the built together. What we would not be seen taken out. Oh, sorry. I have taken, never had any intention correct. Is there another resolution being considered?
I want you to get your forward. I will be on this.
That this has been a sham. The thanks and emulation from the board and everyone else. Character and integrity of the citizens of Macon County.
The other 6 men.
He was talking about the people who sit.
Yeah, there's room. You can't get
Y'all can come inside too. There's room. One second, Ms. Dunn. Where are these people enter? All right, thank you.
Hi. Let's take a look at the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, despite the awkward wording, the meaning is that, obviously, a well-regulated militia that's well-regulated, our modern day, what some might call the National Guard, is necessary to secure a free state, and that the people are entitled to keep and bear arms for that purpose. As a conservative Supreme Court Justice Warren Burger said, and I quote, "The real purpose of the Second Amendment was to ensure that state armies, the militia, would be maintained for the defense of the state," end quote. The unique thing about the Second Amendment is that, unlike other freedoms in the Constitution, it does involve a tangible, concrete object, unlike the freedom of speech or religion or unreasonable search and seizure. For example, those things are not tangible. And that's what makes this discussion kind of difficult, I think. There's no way the Founding Fathers could have foreseen how arms would morph from the musket to today's weapons designed to kill multiple people, just as they had no idea that we would have an internet or cell phones. So it makes sense that the regulations are necessary for the safety of the citizenry. A Reagan-appointed Supreme Court Justice, Antonin Scalia, said, and I quote, "Like most rights, the Second Amendment right is not the right to say, consider analogs, and the court's opinion should not be taken in possession of firearms by felons in places such as schools and government buildings, or laws imposing conditions and qualifications on the commercial." Chief Justice Warren Burger also said, and I quote here, "The very language of the Second Amendment refutes any argument that it was intended to guarantee every citizen an unfettered right to any kind of weapon he or she desires," end quote. And before I end, I'd like to address a statement that was made at last month's meeting. Red flag laws do not allow someone to have Robbie Holland go take a gun away from somebody else to have a beef with. In the United States, a red flag law is a gun control law that permits police or family members to petition the state court to order the temporary removal of firearms from a person who may be at present a danger to himself or herself or others. A judge makes this determination to issue the order based on statements and actions made by the gun owner in question. And so for these reasons and the sake
Ms. Duncan, I'll ask you to, that's me right here.
Okay.
I'll ask you to wrap it up, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
2 more lines.
No, that's fine. Great, thank you.
Common sense. We're asking the Board of Commissioners not to declare Macon County a gun sanctuary. We're asking the board to support reasonable, common sense gun legislation. Thank you.
Henry Sheldon. Welcome, Henry.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. I wish to address both of the major topics of this evening, and my remarks will run about 6 minutes. However, if you wish to hold me to 3 minutes, I'll choose one or the other at your choice.
Your decision, whichever one you'd like to address.
All right, very good. I'll go for the school issue this evening. Over the history of our nation, beginning with early colonial times and extending through today, we have always placed a high value on the education of our youth. Immigrants to America during the mid to late 1800s and into the 1900s stressed the importance of their offspring receiving a better education than they themselves had. Local and state governments supported that desire with what is now our K-12 public education system. Does that local and state government support continue into today? That really is the question we are here to present to you tonight. Some years ago, portions of the arts curriculum were removed from some of our schools, justified publicly because of an economic turndown. At the time, a promise was made that when things got better, those programs would be restored. Well, better has arrived, but the return of the arts programs has not. There is always a much greater demand for public dollars than there are dollars to satisfy that demand. Modernization must occur. High-quality K-12 education is necessary to the preparation of our youth so they enter into the adult world as free, independent, and productive members of society. Arts programs are an integral part of that education. I have heard that some say that the elderly may not be willing to spend a few more cents or dollars to fund the reinstatement of these programs. This is one elderly person that finds that view to be complete rubbish. The K-12 education that I received included classes in all of the arts: music, drawing, painting, singing, band, dance, etc. No one was expected to become the next Chopin, Brahms, Bach, Van Gogh, Picasso, or Madonna. But Madonna did go through the public school system of my hometown. We never can tell where the next lightning bolt will strike, now can we? Our parents' understanding of the need to provide a well-rounded education for their youth spurred them to make the necessary sacrifices. I urge you to have the will to place sacrifice ahead of convenience and commit funds to restore and enhance the arts programs in all of our Macon County schools. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've got a whole string of speaking about the arts here. Amberly Downs.
Hello everyone, my name is Amberly Downs. I'm an artist. I'm an internationally published artist, award-winning artist. I've got products that you can find, whole product lines, and I have no college. Nothing. I never was trained formally. All of my training came from the Macon County school system. Every Macon County school system. And it breaks my heart to hear that these children are going to lose these programs. I mean, I never excelled in my core classes. I didn't do very good in them, so low B's, low C's. My parents weren't so happy, but the one time during the day, I could go to class and I could excel and I could be the superstar was with my art classes. And I just hate to hear that with, you know, the epidemic of suicide and drug use, we can't give our children more art to grow their minds. When I had anxiety in my classes and when I was really upset because my grades weren't good, I always had that, like, that was my thing. And now, since I couldn't afford college, I've gone on with what I was taught through the Macon County school system, and like I said today, I pay all my bills, support my family of 5 with what I learned from Macon County schools. So I just wanted to beg for children like my daughter, who has a learning disability, and the only time she can shine is in the art class that was taken away. Please consider more funding. Please save this for our children, future artists like me. I want them to be the lightning bolt, as he said. I'm the lightning bolt. I'm here, I put Macon County on the map. I'm a little artist from Macon County, and you can find my products in South Africa. All because of the school system's art program. Thank you very much.
Catherine Shields Holmes.
Hi, my name is Catherine Shields Holmes, and I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor and supervisor, and I'm also a school psychologist and behavior specialist with Macon County Public Schools. For the past 14 years, I've worked in some capacity in the school system, and unfortunately, I'm acutely aware of the mental health needs of our children and adolescents. If you walk into any of the 11 schools in our district, you will find that students are suffering from depression, anxiety, ADHD, conduct disorders, and most prevalently, post-traumatic stress disorder. Our youth are exposed to an alarming amount of violence in their homes and neighborhoods, and they suffer greatly from abuse and neglect. As a school employee, it's often very frustrating that I'm not able to address adequately these needs in their homes. However, we do have the ability to do everything in our power to make schools a safe place for children and a place where they feel connected to their education. Due to these significant mental health concerns, many students are not able to truly engage in their education. Many students fail and lose interest because their depression and anxiety is undertreated or not treated at all. Over the years, I've seen students and some of my clients come to school for one friend or one supporting teacher or one class. And for so many, that class was art or music or chorus or band. And these classes really help them to process their pain and really help them to express themselves in a healthy and truly productive manner. I've seen so many youth use music, drawing, painting, theater, and dance as a means to heal. Sarah and Maggie have gone into great detail regarding the benefits of increased art education on student achievement, but there's also a lot of research out there that shows that there is a significant impact on increased arts education and social and emotional growth of children. I won't go into the details of these research projects now, but some of the positive aspects of these programs is that they show an increase in compassion, empathy, and tolerance towards other students. They're less likely to be suspended from school or to use drugs or alcohol. And most importantly, I think that they feel this attachment to their school and their school culture, and it keeps them coming and it keeps them safe. If we are able to increase the likelihood of our children's success simply by adding additional arts program in our county, then I think this is an action that absolutely has to be considered. I implore you to strongly consider these requests for increase in music and art and choral teachers in our county. The well-being of our students is paramount, and it's critical that we can do anything in our power to keep them safe and our schools.
Thank you, Captain. Billy Love. Billy Love. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. My name is Billy Love, and I'm the Director of Education and Outreach at the Bascom Arts Center in Highlands, and I'm here on behalf of Arts for MCS. I am an arts administrator, an art educator, and an artist myself, and for many years I've been pleased to provide supplemental art education programs through the Bascom for students in Macon County schools. But I'd like to take a minute this evening to talk about art education in a way that we don't always think about. So, viewing amazing works of art and making art, those are important to me, but art education isn't just about making pretty pictures and hanging them on the wall. Art education provides a key component for developing essential creative skills in students necessary for their success in the 21st century workplace. The National Task Force on the Arts and Education states, arts learning experiences play a vital role in developing students' capacities are increasingly recognized as core skills and competencies that all students need as part of a high quality and complete 21st century education, one that includes learning in and through the arts. Creativity is the ability to see new opportunities, produce original ideas, adapt to changing situations, and to apply one's imagination to solve problems. The report of the new Commission on the Skills of the American Workforce states that creativity, innovation, and flexibility will be demanded of virtually everyone who is making a decent living, from graphic artists to assembly line workers, from insurance brokers to home builders. Therefore, it is essential that we provide our students in Macon County with the same learning opportunities, including arts education, as their peers in other areas, so that they not only experience cultural enrichment in their daily lives, but so that they can also be competitive in the modern workforce, ensuring their success when they graduate from our schools, and ensuring that they can become effective creative thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators. Thank you for your time.
Olga Lemkin.
Hi, my name is Olga Lampkin. I'm actually up here to comment on both topics, but they're both brief, so we'll be down and out of here quickly. I strongly support the county allocating additional funds towards a plan that would quickly get art programs back into our schools. A comprehensive childhood education should include more than a fleeting or occasional exposure to the arts. Sarah and Maggie have presented substantial evidence, as have many of the other speakers, showing the vast range of benefits provided by art programs, including improved learning throughout all academic areas. Their presentations have been excellent in that they don't just advise you of the problem and provide data. They also offered a detailed, thoughtful, and concise solution with a timeline to take place over several years. That being said, I don't see this as an all or nothing suggestion. I strongly urge you to work with Sarah and Maggie to fund at least some of the positions and get us moving in the right direction. We owe it to our children to provide them with a well-rounded education that includes creative outlets. And this is my mother, Olga Pater's input. I'm reading it on her behalf and at her request, since she could not be here tonight. Begin quote. As the Commission once again considers the passage of this resolution, I urge you to vote against it as unnecessary, ineffective, and probably illegal, not grounded on existing laws or legislation. I believe that this resolution, stemming from the situation in Virginia, which has not occurred yet in North Carolina, is nothing more than an attempt by gun activists to make an issue where none exists that will create divisions in our community. I dare say that most citizens of Macon County uphold not only the Second Amendment, but the Constitution in its entirety, and probably a large percentage are lawful gun owners. At the same time, a large percentage are people who believe that reasonable gun laws will make us all safer and less likely to become victims of a crime committed with a gun by someone who should not ever have been able to have one. A sanctuary is a place of refuge or safety. The sanctuary resolution in no way makes our community safer, nor does it make it a refuge from the divisions that are polarizing our country. On the contrary, this follow-the-crowd attempt creates rancor and hard feelings where none existed before. As our law enforcement officials and our commission members have rightly stated, their oath of office requires them to uphold the Constitution of the United States, not just one chosen amendment, but the whole of it, all amendments and all our laws based on our founding document. There is no wise reason to choose one amendment out of the whole except to satisfy a false idea that our sworn officials would decide to violate their oaths by violating the Second Amendment. More than that, this resolution is an empty piece of paper as federal and state laws rule constitutional matters, and the Commission's position, pro or con, would largely result in favoring one group of citizens above another and in then forming distrust and anger in our community. Why would anyone oppose common sense gun legislation that is the real target of the sanctuary movement? Is that my 3 minutes? I'll wrap it up quick. To drive a car, a young person has to study hard to pass a test of more than 200 questions. She then talks about the other requirements to even just get a driver's license. I believe that the proposed sanctuary resolution is actually a disguised attempt to mobilize people to oppose sensible gun legislation that is supported by a majority of all Americans. I urge you not to fall into the trap of voting for this manipulation. From Olga Pater.
Brian Moffitt. Brian. Gotcha.
I brought a Macon County student with me. I actually brought two of them with me tonight. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and Commission, for allowing me to address you all tonight. My name is Brian Moffitt, and I'm a proud graduate of Macon County Schools. Principal Shields, he was my principal. I'm a proud graduate of Macon County Schools. I'm an educator with, and I'm an aspiring administrator in Macon County Schools. And most importantly, I'm a parent of Zeke and Zoe, who attend South Macon Elementary School. But tonight I'm here for all students and my own children to ask for funding of arts positions in Macon County, especially at Macon Middle School and Union Academy. As you're aware, MMS and Union do not offer, Union does not offer any arts, and MMS does not offer chorus or art to its 7th and 8th grade students. I believe that society places great value in early elementary education as well as high school education, and we put so much time and effort into the beginning and ending of public education, a lot of times we miss the middle. If you've ever been around middle schoolers, or you were in middle school, you'd know it's one of the most challenging times of your lives. You grow at crazy rates, your voice changes, you have to learn algebra, you have hormones, and you have to wear deodorant. It's your first teenage years, and you're trying to navigate through a maze of emotion. And for this reason, I feel that the arts are an imperative in allowing our students an opportunity to discover who they are at this critical stage in their lives. I was in 7th grade chorus at MMS, and that's where I discovered a love for music. I remember trying out for my first solo and how unbelievably scared I was. And that audition for a small part in a Christmas program, which I did not get, was a defining moment in my life. I found confidence, I found my voice, and I continued singing. I was a member and director of the B Naturals chorus at FHS. It's been said that boys in middle school don't want to sing, but I think that's untrue. When given the opportunity, they will. At South Macon alone, there are more than 80 students involved in chorus. My son is one of those. At MVI, chorus along with band and art are offered, and the high school offers chorus, art, and band. Yet the middle school lacks art and chorus. I've referenced how middle school is a defining time in our lives. When students enter high school, they get a pretty good opinion of what they want to do. But if they don't have that in middle school, I believe they miss out on that opportunity. You've probably heard of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, probably using one of their devices right now. These men, whom we can credit with some of the most transformational technologies in history, knew what they wanted to do when they were in middle school. And they had the opportunity, which changed not only the trajectory of their lives, but of the world. And I know I'm getting close on time, so I just want to leave you with one thing. You've already heard tonight just a personal testimony of the arts, and I wish he could be here with us tonight. But another Franklin High School graduate, Mr. Corey Asbury, I just want to reference him. He was class of 2004. He played soccer. He played baseball. He was part of the baseball program that won the state championship for Franklin High School. Corey wrote a song, and that song went on to be nominated for a Grammy and several Dove Awards. Today, Corey's song, which many of you may have heard, "Reckless Love," has more than 115 million views on YouTube alone. With the numerous artists who have produced their own versions and recordings of his song on YouTube alone, it's more than 170 million views, excluding iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, and anywhere else where you can find music. 170 million. If every resident of Macon County were to watch that video, they'd have to watch it 5,000 times to equal that many views. Arts make an impact locally and globally. I want to thank you for your time and valuing the importance of education in the arts.
All right, I'll admit there's a hazard to being chairman of this board. And, one of those hazards is trying to decipher some names. So please pardon me if I can get some of these names wrong. I believe it's John Pruner. Is that correct, John?
Yes, it is.
All right, welcome.
My name is John Bruner. I'm pastor emeritus at Resurrection Lutheran Church. I'm a past president or chairman of the board of directors of the Macon County Care Network, and I'm a member of the choir at Resurrection Lutheran Church. I'm 1/4 of the Onion Mountain Quartet, and I sing in the Western Carolina Chorus. And I appreciate this opportunity to provided by the commissioners regarding the funding for arts education in our schools. I can't speak to the graphic arts or band or theater. I don't have very much experience in those areas, but I will speak from almost 70 years of choral singing. Children sing before they can talk. They dance before they can walk. They draw before they can write. Artistic expression is innate in us as human beings, and so singers and dancers and drawers and painters and actors and writers will find expression for their gifts, whether those outlets are provided within our school systems or not. What schools can provide our children most uniquely are opportunities to make those expressions in a collaborative way. Collaborative artistic expression provides not only a path toward development of a particular artistic ability, which would probably be enough incentive to my way of thinking, but beyond that, it becomes a gift to the community at large. Collaborative artistic expression is perhaps one of the single greatest means to leadership development available in our society. Effective leaders must know about collaboration, about working toward mutually beneficial outcomes. Leaders have to understand the need to listen to how others express themselves and how to make what they express to produce a common result. You can't sing in a choir and make a good sound if you're only singing to please yourself or to make your own voice heard. You have to be willing to learn what's expected of you. You have to be how to be capable of producing what is expected of you, how to take direction from someone else, how to understand a preferred outcome, how to hear what others are singing and how your voice blends with theirs. And if the director can help you do all of that, the result is often sublime. The sound of a truly good choir is one of the greatest examples of the total being greater than the sum of its parts. The data make it clear that choral singing, and I would assume this also applies to band and theater, etc., but choral singing in particular demands the exercise of at least 8 intelligences: musical, linguistic, vocal, visual, kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and environmental. And the exercise of those intelligences leads to the development of skills in mathematics, in cultural awareness, in social interaction, in personal autonomy, initiative, real-world awareness, information processing, and perhaps most importantly, learning how to learn. Or band or theater or that all of those who participate in those ensembles become leaders, but that's just not true. I can say, however, that every good leader that I have encountered has displayed a significant number of those intelligences and skills. And I think it stands to reason that a community would want to encourage that kind of development and expression among its young people at an early age. I assume that with me you share the enormous pride our town has taken in the recent phenomenal successes of the Panther Regiment. That's a heck of a band.
John?
And that doesn't just happen.
John, I'll ask you to wrap it on up.
Okay,
That's
sure.
okay.
The last benefit that I would ask you to consider is that of artistic excellence is that when a young person is privileged to do what our band has been able to do, like performing at the halftime Sugar Bowl, don't for a minute forget that you're representing Macon County in that experience. Why wouldn't you want to have your children be able to do that and think of our town as a place, our county as a place in which that kind of participation is encouraged? Thank you very much.
I would give you an amen.
And I will say this to the folks who are representing. Mr. Shields and myself have been having ongoing discussions at Franklin High School with Principal Woody and the folks there. And I can probably say this, and Mr. Shields can certainly speak to it. We will be having that discussion because what it's the new data that we're looking at is how the arts in the mental health section of some of these children that are now in school and how that really makes an impact. And Lord knows we need it now more than ever. So we will be looking at that closely with Dr. Baldwin and the board when that time comes. And of course, we don't make no promises now, but we promise you we'll be looking at that.
Sarah O'Neill. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Hello, Commissioners. My name is Sarah O'Neill. I've been a teacher for over 20 years, and 15 of those years have been spent as an art teacher. Stand up if you're here for Arts for MCS. I know we have a large group, so if you wouldn't mind just briefly. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Art is part of who we are, no matter our age. Many adolescents do not realize the power of visual art until they are in an art classroom. Some discover for the first time in middle school that they are talented in art. Students at Macon Middle School have not been able to discover this for 10 years. Students can express themselves and their ideas through art. Our students are surrounded with visual images, and they need tools to be visually literate citizens in the 21st century, and art provides this. Our students need art, our community needs art, and our future depends on it. And I ask you to provide additional funding for the arts. The following is a letter that I'm going to read on behalf of my friend Jeannie Edwards, and she's an artist and a business owner in Highlands. She owns Easily an Artist and the gallery upstairs. So here's her letter. I've always loved the saying, if you can read this, think a teacher. Well, what about if we altered that saying a bit? If you can appreciate and or understand the art, this art, thank a teacher. The next statement I make is not made lightly. Art changed my life. However, it was a source of great embarrassment when I was younger. In 3rd grade, I had a teacher that told me my pilgrims were too awful to be put on the bulletin board at Thanksgiving. I was the only student that didn't have theirs on the board, which might not have been a big deal, but we didn't have art class offered to us. Therefore, I was offered no way to get better at something. Up until that point, I loved art. After that, I didn't color, pick up a paintbrush, or anything until college. Art was not fun, which is probably the saddest thing I've ever said. Art should be something that lets your light shine. That should be wherever you love art, whether it's painting, pastels, collage, ceramics, or found objects. I think back to when I was little and wish that my love of the arts had been fostered instead of snubbed out. How much easier my journey as an artist could have been. My daddy always said, never do something for a living that you wouldn't be willing to do on your day off. That's why at this point in my life, I consider myself one of the lucky ones. I get to create art for a living. And not only do I get to create art, I get to teach art. I get the unique opportunity to mold young and old minds alike, to fill the minds with color and texture, which in turn heals the heart, comforts and excites the soul. I wish I could have been here tonight to beg you not to deny the students of Macon County the right to explore, the right sides of their ever-growing brains, to let art help shape them. For if we don't have art, we truly aren't living with all of our hearts. I am in Scotland at the moment because I sold a painting that paid for my trip. I wish I could tell my 3rd grade teacher, Ms. Stubbe, about that. Thank you for your time, Jeannie Edwards. Thank you.
Heidi Ramey. Welcome, Heidi.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Okay, so I'm Heidi Ramey. Nice to meet you all. Okay, so I have been praying about this, and I have been asking the Lord to guide my thoughts and everything. Kind of stayed up until after 3 o'clock this morning, kind of reading up on stuff and praying that I don't sound stupid. But so my dad and my grandpa was in the military. They fought in the war, and my grandpa passed away before I was born, and I wish I could have met him and just heard him tell me all the amazing stories, of him when he was younger and growing up and in the war and everything. But my dad didn't like talking about it because he was in the Vietnam and a lot of bad things happened. So my dad is going through a lot of mental and physical stuff. He uses drugs and alcohol for an escape. That's been very hard growing up. And when I grew up, I always wanted to be an officer. And so one day my buddy came back from, I'm a little nervous, sorry. He came back from Hawaii. He was in a Marine. Sorry, I'm slow down. And he said, Heidi, you should join me at the Sheriff's Department. And I said, oh, dude, I don't think I can get a job there. I mean, I was always low self-esteem, and I went there and got my job. So I was so proud to become a sheriff in Hall County. I honestly didn't think I could get a job there because the FBI bring their inmates in there. We housed over 1,000 inmates. We housed crazy people that others did not want, and it was kind of crazy, believe me. And I did end up resigning, relocating, because my son's father was incarcerated there, and he was arrested by the FBI. It was really bad. His dad's family was trying to kidnap my son. So I resigned and relocated for safety. And then on top of that, my oldest son's dad, when I was 18 years old, tried to kill my son and I. It was crazy. We won't go into details, but I was very blessed that the Sheriff's Department got there in time. And I mean, I knew how to shoot a gun, but I was so scared if I messed up, he would kill my son and I. So I didn't use a gun. But I will tell you, I'm very thankful that I have learned how to use a gun. I've learned gun safety. I'm thankful that our forefathers have put in the Second Amendment for us, because, you know, history repeats itself. Like, this is what people don't understand. History repeats itself. I have stuff wrote down, but I'm rambling a little bit. And so being sworn in to be a sheriff, you take an oath to protect and support the Constitution, and I was very proud of that. My dad had always raised us, you know, when you turn 18, you're going to vote. When you turn 18, you're going to join the military. You're going to, you know, you're going to do what you should do as an American. You know, that was beat in our heads. You know, him being an MP, very strict, do this, don't jaywalk. And some days we're like, Dad, you have to let us be kids. But I'm very thankful that my dad was strict on us, because we turned out, I mean, I feel like I turned out to be pretty awesome. I feel like I've contributed to our country. I have 2 amazing boys, one which is going to be 20 this year. He graduated from Macon County High School, played sports. He lettered in tennis and basketball, and now he works at Bryson Grading up in Highlands, North Carolina, and he's going to school in the afternoon for welding, and it makes me very, very proud that you know, my boys are, and my oldest son, my youngest one's going to be 15, about to get his license. I'm a little scared, but I am thankful for this. I did want to bring up a little bit of my past, but you know what? I'm thankful that I know that I have my license to carry. I'm thankful that if something was to happen, I can protect my children and I. You know what I'm saying? I've had some really crazy things happen in my past, and am I making sense?
No.
I'm rambling. Sorry, I'm rambling.
I'll ask you to wrap it up if you can.
So to me, the Constitution was thoughtfully wrote for us all, so history wouldn't repeat itself. Once one wall is removed, all will be removed. We are one nation under God, and if you are defending yourself, it's not considered murder, and the cops can't always get there in time. I don't know. I'm sorry. I really wanted to come up here and just tell you how thankful I am for the forefathers and them making the Second Amendment along with the other amendments. And I do believe that if we don't uphold one, that, you know, eventually we're not going to uphold them all. And honestly, that all those laws were considerably wrote out, and they knew what they were doing when they wrote them.
Heidi, thank you. You did a good job.
Thank you.
You did well. Don't worry about it. Ed Morris. Ed.
I wasn't quite sure what I was volunteering for when I heard about this Second Amendment sanctuary. But what I do know is that there are times when you absolutely do not have the right to a gun, and that's if you're psychotic or suicidal or whatever. And so that's not to take away anybody's gun that has the right to that. But I've had, since I graduated from medical school, I've probably seen several thousand different patients, but there are two that stand out. One, when I was first in training, I was down in Galveston, Texas at a medical university there. And the sheriff's brought in a gentleman. I was working on the psychiatric rotation in the emergency room, been up all night, and they bring this guy in, and he had just shot and killed his mother. And so they put him in a little 4x5 room, and I'm supposed to interview this guy. Well, turned out he was absolutely psychotic, schizophrenic, and he began what is called a word salad. And I had never heard of that, but I'll try to give you an example. Well, I had one looked up, but basically this guy was just talking 100 miles an hour, and it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But rather than saying numbers, it was like pulling carrots, desk, table, so he was complete psychotic, schizophrenic mess. Well, we got him into a hospital, and I'm sure he stayed there for a long time. I don't know what he was charged with or not charged with, but what he did absolutely had no right, if he was released from jail, or not jail, the psychiatric, if he was going to always be a risk of having this happen again. And there's no guarantee to make him take medicines or whatever, but he needs a background check. And there's absolutely, in my mind, no doubt about that. And he does not have the right to a gun. And he does not have the right to kill anyone else. And another patient that I had was someone here in Macon County, someone that I had taken care of a few times. I think he had some mild medical issues. But his wife came in, a gun pointed to his head. And she was able to talk to him and said, "Why don't we go talk to Dr. Morris?" Well, he came in, and again, she didn't even come in with him or anything, but he was telling me, and he was a farmer. He was on the sawmill, and he started talking about an earache or something, and 50-year-old farmers don't come in and tell me about their earaches. So there was something deeper, and he told me about, he was about to kill himself, but we got him hospitalized, and he got treatment, and he got better. But again, he never needs to own a gun himself, because when you're that depressed and you have that reaction, you can go out and buy a gun, and you can kill yourself. Background checks are absolutely necessary. Now, the one exemption, as I understand it, from background checks are gun shows. So about every, I don't know how often the county has their gun show in the recreation facilities. Is it once a year or twice a year? Well, every time I see a gun show in Franklin, North Carolina, why in the world are you using my taxpayer dollars to allow these gun shows that you don't have to do background checks? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life. So there's no point in that, and I sure as heck don't like the county using my money to allow this. If somebody wants to go out and have a gun show and get background checks, and they run a private gunsmith or whatever, fine, but not on taxpayer dollars that we're paying for. And I think that's one absolutely important thing, that people get background checks. It just makes common sense. And that's about all I've got to say. I've been on the only one to say it all the time. Thank you very much. My blood pressure won't go up every time the gun show comes here. At least I've expressed myself. Thank you again.
Jim Taylor. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jim Taylor, and I'm the school counselor at Macon Middle School. I'm also a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm a member of Mountain Voices here in Franklin. Macon Middle School has two serious deficits: no art or chorus programs. I work with a variety of students, but the majority of the students I work with have emotional or social needs that are not being met in our current environment. I brought with me some examples of art pieces that the students at my school have created. So, these are just two examples. It's natural for our youth to want to express themselves in an artistic way, and yet we have very few programs at the middle school that encourage artistic expression. Middle school band meets the needs of some students, but does not reach even half of our middle school population. Macon Middle School faculty and staff currently serve more than 650 students. More than 50% of those students qualify for free and reduced lunch. And the students I work with deal with a variety of issues, including but not limited to depressive and anxiety symptoms, sexual trauma, abuse and neglect, witnessing domestic violence, homelessness, substance use or abuse by a close family member. The list goes on and on. And does not describe even the full spectrum of the struggles that we work with. It's also worth noting that I'm the only school counselor at Macon Middle School and am responsible for supporting all 650 students. While we do the best we can with our current resources, it's my belief that our students would benefit both emotionally and academically from having access to art and chorus programs, and the research strongly supports that stance. The Mayo Clinic suggests that children and adolescents benefit both emotionally and academically from being able to express themselves artistically. Depressive and anxiety symptoms have been shown to significantly decrease where artistic expression is possible. Singing in a choir provides students with a sense of belonging. Research by the University of Oxford shows that singing in a choir produces positive effects such as a reduction in muscular tension, improved breathing, a feeling of belonging and bonding, as well as a reduction of stress hormones. Research by Johns Hopkins University shows that test scores and critical thinking are improved by artistic and musical expression. Our test scores govern our funding and the judgment of our schools, and the arts are one way to improve the performance of our students on end-of-grade and end-of-course tests. In my own experience, the arts have been a social and emotional outlet for me. I suffered with depression and anxiety in high school, and some days the only things that motivated me to attend school and continue to exist were my choir and drama classes. It was through emotional expression and social connections that I was able to function and succeed in school. Without these classes, I might not be standing before you today, much less as a licensed mental health care provider. The students of Macon County are committed to the arts, and you have the opportunity to show the students that you are committed to them by providing them with access to arts education. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rebecca Horowitz.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight. Proud Franklin-born, Calasaja, educated native.
Yeah.
Thank you. I spent 30 years as a commercial artist, 10 years in nonprofit management, and before I retired a couple of years ago, I worked for an art gallery in St. Petersburg, Florida, helping them develop their educational nonprofit program. During that time, I had the opportunity to do some research. You're hearing a lot of personal stories tonight. I apologize, I don't know what statistics you've been given before, but I know you have to base your decisions on hard numbers and facts. And so that's one of the things I want to present to you tonight. There have been numerous studies over the years. The U.S. Department of Justice and Art Education Partnership in 1996 determined from their study that arts education has a measurable impact on at-risk youth, deterring delinquency, behavior, and truancy problems. It also increases overall academic performance among those youth engaged in school and summer arts programs. The critical evidence provided in 2006 by the National Assembly of State Arts Agencies and the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001, based on the findings from these studies, came up with 6 very specific results from arts, not just visual arts, but all arts in school. The first improvement and achievement is in reading and language skills. Secondly, math skills. Thirdly, critical thinking skills. Fourth, social skills. Fifth, motivation to learn, and creating a positive school experience. The UNESCO project, in conjunction with the Australian Council of Arts and International Federation of Arts, determined, quote, quality art education tends to be characterized by a strong partnership between schools and outside arts and community organizations. That's where you come in. In other words, teachers, artists, communities work together and share the responsibility for delivering these programs. It isn't just on the schools, it's on everybody to pitch in. Education through the arts enhances overall academic attainment, reduces school dysfunction, and promotes positive cognitive transfer. A study, I'll make this quick, from Stanford University in 1990, who are involved in the arts are 4 times more likely to be recognized for academic achievement, 3 times more likely to be elected to class office, making them community leaders, 4 times more likely to participate in math and science fairs, 3 times more likely to win an award for school attendance. They participate in youth groups at a rate of 4 times more than children who do not. They read for pleasure at twice the rate. And they perform community service. I have one more brief little story to tell you, in that several years ago, a very bold principal was assigned to a failing middle school out in California. He dared to take funding away from the multiple police officers that they had at the school and put it into the arts. Within 2 years, the students who had struggled in the old system only graduated from their middle school, they graduated from their high school and went beyond. I request that you look into this seriously. The students of Macon County deserve not just art education now to help their brains grow and become social and to contribute, but Macon County deserves what these children have to offer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beverly Barnett.
Good evening. I'm Beverly Barnett. I direct Mountain Voices Community Chorus. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I'll probably be repeating some of the information that you heard in the last couple of speakers, because I wanted to talk to you about how important I think that music education and art education is in all the schools, even starting young. Students who have early musical training will develop the areas of the brain related to language and reasoning. The left side of the brain has been proven to be better developed through music, and songs help to imprint information on young minds. In very young children, music benefits the ability to learn words and to speak them correctly. Music training promotes a mastery of memorization, and that is used throughout all learning. In one study, young school musicians outperformed non-musicians in auditory, visual, and memory tests. Students who practice with musical instruments in band can improve their hand-eye coordination and improve motor skills, just like in playing scores. When children are exposed to proper music education, they learn powerful study habits. Mastering their craft takes concentrated effort, consistent practice, and patience. And these disciplined habits translate into other areas of study. Choral music and band music teach teamwork. Students get together to create a cohesive, technically correct performance, and many students creating music is creative side is an important additional benefit. Benefits to society and who will fill our community choruses, our church choir. Children growing up with no concept of interested in A choruses won't have as many members from beginning to end. Thank you.
Thank you for an opportunity to speak. It won't take but just a second. Shall not be infringed. We know, they know what it means. Macon County is that you do not use resources, that kind of stuff, to go against, impose firearm regulations. That is unconstitutional. All of that stuff, you just have no control over that. And everybody knows that. If I go, all that stuff, that's fine and dandy. That ain't got nothing to do with why we're here. The reason we're here is we want us to have our backs like you want us to have your backs at voting time. We want to know that we are not going to be turned on, and the money that we've put into county, just like he said, he didn't want his money going to the tax money going gun shows and stuff. Well, we don't want ours going against us when
I want you to teach me how to catfish.
anytime.
All right. Leave on our old business on the regular agenda. You want to speak?
We're putting us, North Carolina retired school in February, but to come in March. In February, I was pretending health concerns. I did encourage a few here. The resolution to legislature, employees, and the lack of health insurance after 2021, but felt like that needed to go as part of being worked on, but we're sort of waiting to see kind of what's going on. So hope to have your support. I will be here if you have any questions, and if possible, warmer, please. Thank you.
Did you already want? Okay.
Otherwise, it would be complained it's too hot, so he turned his way down for a little while.
Okay. Steve Sellers. Welcome, Steve.
Appreciate the time to speak. I hope everyone here can agree that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So the Constitution, as we know, states that the rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So I believe that we should look at this word infringe, and if you will look it up, you'll see that it means to limit or to undermine. So if someone passes a law that undermines your rights to defend yourself or your family, your God-given rights, then you see what I mean. The case of Marbury versus Madison in 1803 established that all laws that are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. So many of these laws that are being passed by states already are null and void, and they have no business being enforced to begin with. So many of these counties in different states moving forward with these proposals send a message to state capitals and Washington, D.C. that if any laws contrary to the Constitution are passed, we will not comply. So some states' resolutions in various counties may indeed be largely symbolic in nature and may not explicitly spell out how a county may oppose an unconstitutional law, just that it does oppose them. I believe these red flag laws are troubling because anyone could just that had something against you could put your name out there for whatever reason. So that's a terrible situation. I think that the overwhelming majority, really, of the people in this county support moving forward with this resolution. And I hope that you'll do your part to support the will of the people and uphold the Constitution. And I thank you.
All right, I'm sorry, I've got Marvin. I can't read the last name. Welcome.
First off, before I get started, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to express my opinion for the Second Amendment resolution. I kind of use the term sanctuary loosely because when using that term, like sanctuary cities, that kind of falls on a place of refuge for illegal immigrants or aliens. So as a place of worship in a church, so I'll just call it a Second Amendment resolution. Also, some of you in this room knows me and some might not. So here's a brief rundown. My name is Marvin Mason. I am a native Maconian. By that, I have ties to Native American on both sides of the family. I was born and raised in Birmingham community in Macon County. I have lived and resided in Macon County for 67 years. I'm a 31-year member of the National Rifle Association, 20-year charter member, and starting on my 11th year as a life member. During the 31 years of this organization, I have been in contact with our congressmen and senators, also our state legislature. Also, I forgot to mention I also am a 15-year member of the Second Amendment Task Force. During 31 years I have been with this organization, I have gotten a lot of questionnaires from NRA. Matter of fact, they are 6 pages long, and questions on both sides about different issues and also Second Amendment rights. I answer them by checking the appropriate boxes, sign it, date it, mail it back to them. Every year they send me cards with the representatives' names, addresses, phone numbers. If there are some kind of bills to be passed on our Second Amendment or other bills that affects things that important, I sign my name to the cards and personally mail them back to the senators and congressmen and state legislators. I have also called them and talked to them by phone. What ones I can't get by phone, we correspond by mail. They have called me and wrote me very regularly. They are our leaders in all forms of government, and we the people are their voice, as well as you are being the commissioners of Macon County. Over all these years I have worked hard doing my part as a loyal supporter of our constitutional right. I am asking you as leaders of our county to vote this resolution in, not only for our benefit, but for the benefit of our children and our grandchildren in future generations. And also for the citizens of our county who stand up for and stand on our belief for the Second Amendment, as well as the rest of the Second Amendments as written in the Constitution. Let's make Macon County a Second Amendment county. Maybe the rest of the 100 counties in North Carolina will follow suit. Not only Macon County and the state of North Carolina, but the whole United States of America. God bless the United States, and may God bless each one of you as you make your decision. Once again, thank you, gentlemen, for taking time to let me read this and express my opinions and concerns on this Second Amendment resolution.
Thank you. All right, Roy Hurst. Welcome, Roy.
Thank you. For all those that do know me, which is most of you, Roy Hurst. Those that don't, same thing. Didn't think I'd ever be up here, I can tell you that. But anyways, one of the things I'm pretty certain to write about, I ain't positive, y'all can verify it, but the gun shows are paid for by us, the people that go to them. And as far as not having background checks at gun shows, I know a fellow just got recently arrested at a gun show because he tried to buy a gun. They did his background check. Next thing you know, there's 2 cops there putting him in cuffs. So yeah, they do background checks. And as far as I know, the money that comes from the patrons that go see these gun shows make money for the county, not take money out of the county, as well as for the state. Some of the things that's been said, like gun-free zone. It's the places that have the most gun ownership, stuff like that, the least gun violence will say, think a little bit. You know, the place that says we don't want you to have guns, or what laws anybody else tomorrow. Of course, the laws that we already have, TV a couple nights ago, so many days they go, well, that's not these background checks, that's how he got his gun. As far as this resolution goes, I'm not handled because I don't think the word sanctuary is in there anymore. The buyer sanctuary rather than sanctuary because we're worried about the word sanctuary protected area. That's about all.
Dave Hurd.
Don't penalize. I'm a little evening, Chairman Tate, Commissioners, Sheriff Holland, and everybody. And I'm a resident of Macon County. Now, I'm not like this gentleman here that is one of those, excuse my French, I'm a damn Yankee. I'm a damn Yankee. I'm from Michigan, but you see, I'm here to help. Well, I want to protect our rights. And, you know, I got all this stuff here, and I know I can't read it even in the 3 minutes, so I'm just going to kind of ad-lib a little bit. Gun safety is primary. That's the main thing. Gun control is a totally different issue. And, you know, that's what we're trying to stay away from here. We all have that right. Well, God gave animals the instinct of self-preservation. Shouldn't we have that also? I mean, I'm not saying that I'm any better than anybody else, that I should take their life. I can say that, well, and you see, gun violence is a term that the media has made up. A gun is not violent. My guns have not discharged and shot me, any of my kids, my wife, my neighbor, nobody. They haven't. And, you know, it just, well, something I come across, okay, freedom does not come in our bloodstreams. We have to fight for it. You know, and I guess that's, well, who remembers Nikita Khrushchev? And what did he say? He says, you Americans are so gullible, you won't accept communism outright, but we'll keep feeding you small doses of socialism until you finally wake up and find you already have communism. We won't have to fight you. We'll so weaken your economy until you fall like overripe fruits into our hands. And another thing, he says, we don't have to invade the United States. We will destroy you from within. And that's kind of the way I'm looking at this. If we lose the Second Amendment rights, I feel that we have lost all the rest of the amendments. You're not going to be able to, well, look at Hitler. Guns, he made the country safe by taking the guns away. And that's what's happening in the U.S. I can remember him pounding on the desk, but here is, okay, I think this is almost what the issue is. Folks do not fully understand. We think, I just want to go home, I want to plop on the couch, I want to read my Bible, I want to watch TV, read a good novel, do some painting or whatever, without having to think about anything else. Not realizing that our world and this great nation is crumbling around us. I do believe, though, that issues like this have started to wake up the American people. And you know, I don't know. On that, I got one thing.
All right.
To sum this up, and these are not my words. My wife read it to me the other day, and I says, "Give me that." More than simply satisfied with the work of creation God completed on the 6th day. And I'm not preaching. God proclaimed it very good. Then He entrusted it to us. That's an awesome task and a huge responsibility, sure to stretch us to our very limit. But in our working for the good of all creation, we set about finding answers to our biggest questions. Not only why we're here, but also what we're here to do. Tending to and caring for creation is a job way bigger than any one of us can do. We had better reach and join hands. Isn't it time to start trusting law-abiding citizens? Thank you for your time, and God bless America.
Okay, we're 2 pages through, partially through the 4 here of our public speaking. I just want to say from my perspective that y'all are passionate. On behalf of this board, I want to thank each of you. I'll hang in there. Mr. Bob.
I'm sure I'm going to get you. Presenting only myself as a longtime resident of Macon County. I'm familiar with guns. I qualified with the M1 Garand, the M1 carbine, and the 1911 A1 pistol while I was a member of a well-regulated militia, the Army National Guard and the Army Reserve. In later years, I was an NRA certified handgun instructor. I was also a gun carrying sworn officer in several law enforcement agencies. I want to express my concern at Macon County becoming known as a gun sanctuary. I do not think this is necessary, as I believe it will have consequences if you pass this as a gun sanctuary. You will be setting a precedent for any number of things. First, we may have extremist wildlife groups which would want you to declare all of Macon County a bear sanctuary. Roy is one of my former scouts, so if you see where he gets it from. Take fishing, for instance. I may come to you and want you to declare Macon County a catch and release sanctuary, free from all wildlife regulations. As soon as you declare Macon County a gun sanctuary, I believe that I have every right to enter this building with a gun, because under the 4th Amendment, I feel it's unconstitutional to keep me from having a gun in the courthouse if there is no probable cause to keep me from having one. From what I understand, in a gun sanctuary, anyone is allowed to disobey any law concerning guns if that person believes the law is unconstitutional. So, does that mean that every sheriff must become a constitutional authority? It is up to the courts, not individuals, to decide the constitutionality of laws, passed by our legislative, elected leaders who pass gun laws. I have former friends who might be alive today had there been red flag laws or had medical personnel who had the right to question their mental state and ask if they had access to guns. I believe that everyone on both sides of this issue would agree that we are fortunate to live in Macon County. It is a warm, inviting place where we may fight and argue among ourselves, but let a neighbor fall into hard times and we're all there with a helping hand. That's why I cannot see why it will benefit us to continue to argue about this contentious issue. I would be among the first to join my neighbors pushing for this designation if I believed someone was coming to take our guns, but I do not see this happening. Cherokee County, for example, was one of the first to become a gun sanctuary. As a result, Cherokee County received bad publicity on a national level. This would not bode well for Macon County, as we are a destination area for people of all political persuasions, philosophy, and a love of the mountains and our neighbors. Thank you so much for allowing both sides of this issue to express our First Amendment right to petition you, the government that's closest to the people. Thank you.
All right, Hazel Norris.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'm glad he said Macon County and not Franklin. And that's what it is, Macon County. I'm Hazel Norris. A lot of you know me. If you don't, you will. I'm very open the way I feel, very open who I support, never hid it. Not ashamed. I support President Trump, not ashamed. But what I'm saying here tonight, I'm 8 generations on my mama's side. I'm 10 generations on my grandfather's side. They all fit in wars. Years ago, I should have went and got my concealed permit, but I waited till I was up in age. But if you don't know the truth about guns, get with Robbie Holland and get him to get Derek Jones to teach you a class. Because Derek Jones taught us in that class, owning a gun does not give you a right to kill somebody or shoot someone. Owning a gun does not give me the right if someone breaks into my home and that person starts to turn and leaves, I have no right to shoot that fella or that woman. I have no right. I can only shoot when I feel my life is in danger. And that's what I learned in that concealed permit, in that concealed class. If that gun, we don't pick that gun up, it's not going to shoot no one. But we hear everybody say concealed weapons. That doesn't only include guns. It can be a knife. It can be a bomb. And they're making bombs now so little it's hard to detect. I'm asking you, I was born and raised here. I never chose to live here. My dad was not a resident of Macon County until he married my mom. He was a city boy. Didn't know much about country life, but he learned. We worked for a lady a couple of days ago, 98 years old, up on Buck Creek. Matter of fact, I brought her down election day to vote. I kind of let her who to vote for, but because she just couldn't read it. I cheated. But anyway, I asked her, I said, who looks after you? She's in the boonies. Well, Lord, honey, there ain't nobody gonna come in my house. I got that shotgun right there. 98 years old. I asked her, can you still shoot that thing? Didn't look like it'd been shot forever. Buddy, she took it out there and let me tell you what. She put a bullet through that squirrel. I don't know if I could have done that. But she said, I told you no one's going to break in here. And it ain't about that. It's about our rights. It's about what our forefathers fought for. You know, if we asked everybody in this courtroom right now, are you residents of Macon County? Are you born and raised here? And it ain't about that. If they moved here, they know a good town. They know a good county. And they know that we have good commissioners. They know we have an amazing sheriff. Yeah, I'm a Holland fan. But anyway, they know that. If we don't pass it, you're talking about you're scared of tourists coming in. Well, if they don't come here, they're not going to go nowhere in North Carolina. Because as of today, you've got 70 counties in the state of North Carolina that is a Second Amendment sanctuary town. As of today. Just think about you can't fit every citizen of Macon County in this courtroom. But I bet if you took a poll and put it on a piece of paper, 75% is going to vote for this. Thank you.
Again, excuse me, I believe it's Patty Page, is that correct? Last name Page, is that correct, Patty?
It is.
Okay, thank you. Well, Patty.
I should have been a doctor. Thank you for letting me be here today and speak to you. And thank you for not making us walk through the gauntlet. I don't know if anybody remembers that from last time. Having everybody march through here was almost nerve-wracking.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
I'm here of the Macon County becoming a Second Amendment sanctuary. A lot's been said already. I'm not going to go into a lot of the details as far as what has everybody's covered, but what's happening in Virginia right now is just the beginning. It's a slippery slope, as the sheriff spoke last time. That's kind of probably what most of us are concerned with. That's why I think making Macon County a Second Amendment sanctuary is more of a it's past symbolic at this point. This is I can't think of the word. All right, so I'm a little nervous, but anyway, another point I want to talk to is I want to ask ourselves, what is the real problem? Why are we even asking to push some of these gun laws? As some of the others in front of us have said, that some of the cities and states with the toughest gun laws have the highest crime rates and gun issues, gun crimes. Some of the, and I want to say this with the utmost respect, and sometimes I come off a little harsh, but so I'm going to give you some statistics here, and I have, so from 2000 to 2018, there were 277 active shooter events, and out of those 277 active shooter events, there were 1,546 people injured and 884 deaths. So if you think about that, that equals out to 49 deaths per year nationally. So that's one death per state per year over 18 years. And that's what some of these laws are being pushed. You know, they're using that to ask for some of these laws, like the red flag laws and other laws are based off of active shooter events and mass shooter events. I want to put that in perspective to how many rapes North Carolina sees a year. They see over 2,000 rapes a year. This is from the NC SBI crime statistics. So if you think about that in perspective to what we're trying to put laws against, only 3% of those rapes had any kind of gun involved. So what are we really fighting for here? I mean, this shouldn't be the issue. The gun laws don't work. The real crimes that are being committed are not being addressed. We have over 4,000 motor vehicle deaths related to alcohol in North Carolina alone. Now that statistic comes from CDC for North Carolina. So I'm not even going to talk about opioid addiction, the aggravated assaults or murder rates guns are only counted for 50% or less of the crimes, and that is also from the NCSBI crime statistics. So the gun control is not necessarily the answer. Infringing on our right to protect ourselves and our families from criminals do not make law-abiding citizens safer. Criminals do not obey laws. We've said that, we know that. We need to create a safe place by making Macon County a Second Amendment sanctuary. This movement is way past the symbolic stage. America is speaking. We are speaking. We are standing up. We've been in hiding. We have been pushed around, and we're tired of it. We are here to stand up for ourselves and our rights.
Thank you, Ms. Page. April McNiff.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is April McNiff, and I'm a Macon County resident and also a member of the Macon County Arts Association. I'm here tonight to speak in regards to my support for Macon County for the arts and expanding the budget to provide additional funding for all of the arts positions asked for by the school board. Arts educational experiences and opportunities in schools are a strong proponent of a student's academic, social, and emotional outcomes. For students, being able to engage in art will help with their development of motor skills, language skills, social skills, critical thinking, and complex problem-solving skills, and decision-making and inventiveness. A study of Missouri public schools in 2010 found that greater arts education led to fewer disciplinary infractions and higher attendance, graduation rates, and test scores. I grew up in a small rural farm town in eastern North Carolina, just like Franklin, where we only had one public high school. From the age of 5 years old to 10 years old, my parents blessed me with the opportunity to take piano lessons with my church pianist. I learned how to read music, how to play the piano, about posture, motor skills with proper hand and finger placement, and timing. It helped me to overcome my fear of stage performance. My piano recitals encouraged me to have the confidence to be in front of everyone and play music to inspire others. I did not realize what benefit it gave me at that time, and I often gave my parents grief when they told me I needed to practice at home. In 3rd grade, I feel because of my music lessons that this allowed for me to be included in the academically gifted program. In 5th grade, we took a test to determine our music skills, but it also tied into our academic levels as well. Not many of my classmates had the opportunity that I had for taking music lessons. We were a small community, and most parents couldn't afford private art or music lessons. I was the highest score on my 5th grade test. This allowed for me to pursue band in 6th grade and later art classes. Luckily for me, we did have art, band, and choir as opportunities. I chose to pursue fine arts in college, but as a first-generation college student, I quickly realized when I got to my first semester of art classes that I was already behind. My college classmates were from K through 12 schools that offered more art opportunities, and those schools had more funding than my K through 12 schools did. My first semester in college was a struggle, as I discovered that I was already behind the others, and I hadn't even begun yet. The skills and knowledge that I gained in college for the arts has provided me with so many opportunities in my life. I have been able to build on my professional career in higher education. I have been given the opportunity as an adult to excel in critical thinking skills, team building skills, complex problem solving, leadership development skills, public speaking, as well as mentorship to others. I learned about receiving feedback and criticism from others and how to use it to better myself. Children need inspiration. They need to learn how to harness their creativity and imagination more. As with art such as drawing and painting, music can also benefit children in education. Learning music improves math skills because at its core, it's about time signatures, beats per minute, and formulaic progressions. I am also in support of placing the 0.25% sales tax increase to the ballot in November to fund our schools. Thank you very much.
Cliff Williams. Cliff.
My name's Cliff Williams. Actually, I'm a Swain County resident, but I wanted to make a comment or two. one thing the Supreme Court has ruled numerous times over the years, that the Second Amendment is an individual right. It is not necessarily a militia issue. And another thing I wanted to comment about gun shows. Gun shows used to be pretty freewheeling. You could go buy, sell, and trade with anybody, but it's not that way anymore. Gun shows are just like going to a gun shop now. You have to have a background check in order to sell or purchase a gun at a gun show. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Frank Smith III. Welcome, Frank.
County Commissioners, Sheriff Holland, my name is Frank Smith, and I have the honor of being the president of the Macon County Art Association at the moment, and take it real serious. I've been involved with the arts from a young age, with arts and music, and I think it's critical, very critical, particularly in the junior high age group, for these children to be exposed to. I've seen wonderful transformations in character, in how, particularly ones that have mental handicaps, work with that. I've heard some wonderful things here tonight, stuff I didn't know statistically. I appreciate Rebecca giving us all that information on the statistics of that. But I think we owe it to our community, and as all the rest of these people have said, for the arts and all the reasons that we need to vote for extending the contribution from the county to the arts. I appreciate what everybody has said on this tonight. I represent